In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 NBA games happening on March 31st, 2026, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 6 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 NBA games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start, if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. New York Knicks versus Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets are coming into this one with a little extra juice, and honestly, that might be the most dangerous version of this team all month. They just wrapped up a 2-game road sweep, beating Memphis 119-109 on Friday, and then absolutely demolishing New Orleans 134-102 on Sunday. That New Orleans game in particular was something else. Alperen Sengun went off for 36 points and 13 rebounds, while Kevin Durant pitched in 20 and Jabari Smith added another 20. Meanwhile, the Knicks are heading to Toyota Center, having dropped 2 straight, including a frustrating 111-100 loss in Oklahoma City, where Mike Brown publicly called out the officiating after watching his team shoot just 17 free throws compared to the Thunder's 38. That's not a team riding in with confidence right now. Here's the thing though, this goes deeper than just recent results. Houston has been a completely different animal at home lately, going 7-3 over their last 10 games inside Toyota Center. That's not a coincidence. When you've got a lineup that features Sengun at the 5, Durant at the 4, and Amen Thompson running the point at 6'7" with his freakish athleticism, you're putting opposing defenses in a size matchup nightmare that's even harder to solve on the road. Thompson has been averaging 20 points, 8.8 rebounds, and 5.1 assists since the start of March while shooting 58% from the floor, and he just earned all defensive first-team honors last season for a reason. That defensive identity hasn't gone away. Houston still ranks 4th in the entire NBA in opponent points per game at 110.2 and 1st in the league in rebounding at 48.1 per game. They control the glass, they protect the rim, and they make life difficult for perimeter players. New York, for all its talent, is walking into a tough building at the wrong time. The Knicks are also dealing with a backcourt situation that's less than ideal. Miles McBride just came back from a 28-game absence due to sports hernia surgery and then went down again during that Oklahoma City loss, limping off the court after grabbing at his groin area. He's listed as out for this one. Landry Shamet is day-to-day with a knee issue. That's meaningful depth missing from a team that just got outplayed on the road twice in a row. Jalen Brunson is going to be Jalen Brunson. Sure, he put up 32 in that Thunder loss, but one man can only carry so much when the supporting cast is thinned out and the legs are tired from a brutal road trip. And let's not overlook the narrative playing out inside Houston's locker room right now. The Rockets had a team meeting before that Memphis game specifically to rally around Tari Eason, who had been struggling badly from 3, missing 39 of 44 from deep in March before that Pelicans game. Sengun was reportedly texting Eason words of encouragement, teammates were pulling him aside, and Eason responded by making 3 of 5 from behind the arc against New Orleans. That kind of energy, that kind of internal accountability, it shows up in close games at home. Houston is in a real fight for the 4th seed in the West with a stretch of 6 home games in their final 8, so every single win matters. This is a team with purpose, with motivation, and with the home crowd behind them. As our first pick for this matchup, the Houston Rockets to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. The Knicks love to push the pace on offense, and they've got the firepower to do it. 2nd in the league in offensive rating at 116.6 per 100 possessions and putting up 116.8 points per game on the season. But there's a significant gap between what they do at Madison Square Garden and what they do on the road. New York averages 119.6 points per game at home compared to just 114.3 on the road, and that drop matters when you're talking about a projected total that sits right on the edge of where both teams' season averages land. Houston's defense is the X factor here that a lot of people might overlook. The Rockets rank 4th in opponent points allowed at 110.2 per game, and they do it in large part through their rebounding dominance, grabbing 48.1 boards a night, more than anyone else in basketball. When a team controls the defensive glass like that, it limits second-chance opportunities and, more importantly, it slows the tempo down. Houston's pace has consistently ranked near the bottom of the league this season, sitting at 28th, and that deliberate style tends to shrink the total number of possessions in a game. Fewer possessions means fewer shots. Fewer shots means fewer points on the board for both sides. Here's where it gets really interesting. When these two met back on February 22nd in New York, the final score was 108-106, well under tonight's number. That game had a combined total of 214 in a building where the Knicks usually play their best offensive basketball. If it stayed that tight and that low scoring at Madison Square Garden, there's every reason to believe the Toyota Center version skews similarly or even lower. The Knicks are also coming in off back-to-back games where they scored just 103 against Charlotte and 100 against Oklahoma City, a team that held them to 17 free throw attempts. That's not a squad firing on all cylinders offensively right now. Factor in the McBride injury and Shamet being banged up, and you're looking at a bench that might struggle to provide scoring bursts off the pine. Houston isn't exactly a high-powered offense either, sitting 20th in the league at 114.1 points per game, and they rank 26th in three-pointers made at just 11.3 per contest. This is a team built around interior scoring through Sengun and mid-range efficiency from Durant, not one that's going to run up and down the floor jacking threes and inflating totals. Both teams' defensive identities should show up in this one. The Knicks rank 5th in opponent scoring at 110.5, and Houston sits 4th at 110.2. When two top 5 defenses collide and one of them plays at the slowest pace in the league, the math just points in one direction. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Cleveland Cavaliers versus Los Angeles Lakers. There's something about the way Cleveland carries itself on the road this time of year that feels different from most teams just trying to survive the regular season grind. The Cavaliers roll into Crypto.com Arena tonight sitting at 47-28 on the season, 4th in the Eastern Conference, with a road record of 23-14 that quietly tells you everything about their toughness outside of Ohio. Los Angeles, at 49-26 and 3rd in the West, has been scorching hot at home, winners of 9 straight inside their own building, and they've got that Luka Doncic factor everyone loves to lean on. And listen, Doncic is legitimately terrifying right now. He's been averaging north of 40 points per game over his last 9 outings, including a 60-piece against the Heat and a 51 spot against the Bulls. That kind of stretch makes odds makers salivate over the home side. But here's where it gets interesting for anyone paying close attention to this matchup. Both of these teams are playing the second night of a back-to-back, which on the surface looks like a wash. It's not, though. The Lakers took care of business last night against Washington, a comfortable 120-101 victory where LeBron James posted a triple-double with 21 points, 12 assists, and 10 rebounds. That's great, but the key starters still logged meaningful minutes in a game that wasn't exactly stressful but still required showing up. Meanwhile, Doncic sat out Monday entirely due to a 1-game league suspension, giving him essentially 3 days of rest while his teammates were out there grinding against the Wizards. So yes, the Lakers' best player has fresh legs, but the rest of that roster, your Austin Reeves, your LeBron, your DeAndre Ayton, they all just played less than 24 hours ago. Cleveland's situation is a little more demanding on paper since they traveled overnight from Salt Lake City after beating the Jazz 122-113, a game where Evan Mobley and Donovan Mitchell each went off for 34 points. The travel component is real, no sugarcoating that. But consider the Cavaliers' motivation here. They're just a game behind the New York Knicks for the 3rd seed in the East, and with the Knicks scuffling through a losing streak, Cleveland smells an opportunity to climb. This is a team that hasn't been coasting. They've won 5 straight on the road and gone 7-3 in their last 10 games overall. Their ATS record in the last 10 sits at an impressive 8-2, which suggests they've not only been winning but winning by more than what the market expects. And when you zoom into what makes this Cavaliers team tick, the roster construction is genuinely built to bother a team like the Lakers. Cleveland ranks 4th in the entire league in scoring at 119.4 points per game and holds the 6th best offensive rating in the association. Donovan Mitchell's 28 points per game ranks 7th in the NBA, and he's flanked by James Harden, who since arriving from the Clippers back in February has been putting up 20.8 points, 8.1 assists, and an absolutely absurd 45.2% clip from three-point land in a Cavaliers uniform. That backcourt pairing gives Cleveland a level of shot creation and playmaking versatility that very few teams can match, and it's a dimension the Cavaliers didn't even have the first time these two teams met. Speaking of that first meeting, let's talk about it. On January 28th, Cleveland dismantled the Lakers 129-99 at Rocket Arena, a 30-point beatdown that wasn't really competitive past the first quarter. Now, context matters. That game happened before Harden was a Cavalier and while the Lakers were still finding their footing. So the Silver Screen and Roll crew rightfully points out that this essentially feels like both teams are meeting for the first time this season. Still, the Cavaliers have now won 3 consecutive games in this head-to-head dating back to 2024, and the margins haven't been close. That historical dominance doesn't guarantee anything tonight, but it does whisper something about the matchup dynamics that persist. Cleveland's front court is a problem for almost anyone, but particularly for the Lakers. Evan Mobley has been an absolute force since March began, averaging 20 points, 9.7 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1.5 blocks per game, and his ability to operate both inside and facing the basket creates headaches for any defensive scheme. Jarrett Allen, who returned from a 10-game absence due to right knee tendonitis in Friday's 149-128 blowout of Miami and posted 18 points and 10 rebounds in just 18 minutes, sat out Monday's game in Utah for rest purposes but is expected to suit up tonight. That's huge, because Cleveland averages the 4th most paint touches in the league at 26.2 per game, and the Lakers rank a dismal 27th in rebounding at just 41.1 boards per night. That's a mismatch that doesn't just show up in the box score, it shows up in second-chance opportunities, in the way possessions extend, and in how defensive rotations start breaking down in the second half. The Lakers will obviously lean on Doncic's brilliance, and J.J. Redick has done a wonderful job this season building an offense around his superstars' court vision and scoring gravity. With LeBron, Reeves at 23.5 points per game, and Ayton in the middle, this is a well-constructed team. But the Lakers' plus 2 points per game scoring differential pales in comparison to Cleveland's plus 4.3, and the defensive vulnerabilities that come with relying so heavily on offensive firepower create windows for a team as talented and motivated as the Cavaliers. The oddsmakers have this thing essentially as a coin flip, and the fact that they don't feel comfortable laying more than a bucket's worth of points on a home team riding 9 straight wins and featuring a player on an all-time hot streak tells you everything you need to know about how dangerous they view Cleveland. When you combine the motivational edge of a team fighting for seeding, the return of Allen to the paint, Harden's playmaking unlocking the Mobley-Allen frontcourt in ways we haven't seen in this specific head-to-head yet, and the neutralizing factor of both teams being on a back-to-back, the value sits with the visitors tonight. As our first pick for this matchup, the Cleveland Cavaliers to cover the spread as underdogs is our full-game side pick. Cleveland's offense creates a particular kind of chaos that's difficult to contain even when you're fresh and locked in defensively. The Cavaliers are pumping out 119.4 points per game, good for 4th in the entire league, and their 14.4 made threes per contest ranks 8th. Mitchell alone connects on 3.3 triples a night, 5th in the NBA, and when you add Harden's shooting and the interior gravity of Mobley and Allen, there's just no easy way to shut off every spigot. On the other side of the ball, Los Angeles puts up 116.7 points per game, ranking 11th, and their offense has looked particularly potent at home during this win streak. They hung 142 on Chicago recently, dropped 137 on Indiana, and posted 134 against Miami. Those aren't flukes, that's a team that can score in bunches, especially with Doncic orchestrating. Here's what's really compelling though, neither one of these teams is particularly interested in, or frankly capable of, slowing anyone down right now. Cleveland allows 115.1 points per game, which ranks just 14th in the league, and the Lakers give up 114.7, sitting right next to them at 12th. Those are average defensive units at best, and when 2 average defenses collide with 2 elite offenses, the math starts to tilt in a pretty obvious direction. If you just combine both teams' scoring averages, you're already flirting with what the market is asking you to beat, and that doesn't even account for the situational factors pushing this number higher. Back-to-back games are historically unkind to defensive effort. Legs get heavy, rotations get a half step slower, closeouts aren't as crisp, and transition defense suffers when guys are just a beat behind getting back. Both teams are dealing with that fatigue factor tonight, which means the pace of play could settle into a more up and down, trade baskets rhythm rather than a grinding, half-court affair. Cleveland just played a game in Utah that finished 122-113, and before that they went 149-128 against Miami and 136-131 against Orlando. That's 277, 267, and 235 combined in their last three, and the two games before the Utah trip were legitimate shootouts. The Lakers' recent results tell the same story: 142-130 against the Bulls, 137-130 against the Pacers, and 134-126 in Miami. Those are 272, 267, and 260 combined. Neither team has played anything resembling a low-scoring, defensive slugfest in weeks. And there's one more wrinkle that shouldn't be overlooked. Doncic is coming off rest, and when he's fresh and rolling, the Lakers' offensive ceiling goes through the roof. His recent 9-game stretch where he averaged 40 points pushed the Lakers' offense into a different stratosphere, and there's no reason to think that slows down tonight against a Cavaliers defense that has ranked as a middle-of-the-pack unit all season. On the flip side, Mitchell's 28-point average and Harden's playmaking ensure that Cleveland will generate quality looks all night long, particularly against a Lakers defense that has to pick its poison between guarding the perimeter and protecting the paint. When you put two teams on the floor that both average between 116 and 120 points, both allow close to 115, both are coming off back-to-back games with tired defensive legs, and both feature superstars capable of going nuclear on any given night, you get a recipe for a high-scoring, entertaining basketball game. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Portland Trail Blazers versus Los Angeles Clippers. This might be one of the most overlooked games on Tuesday's slate, and honestly, that's exactly why it caught our attention. The Portland Trail Blazers roll into Intuit Dome sitting at 38-38 on the season, and yeah, that record doesn't exactly scream playoff contender. But here's the thing, this team has been playing with a quiet fire recently, going 7-3 over their last 10 games, including some genuinely impressive wins. They just demolished the Washington Wizards 123-88 at home, beat the Brooklyn Nets 134-99, and even hung 130 on the Milwaukee Bucks. This isn't a team that's coasting through the end of the regular season hoping to get lucky. They're fighting for their postseason lives. Portland sits just a game and a half behind these very Clippers for the 8th seed in the Western Conference, so the play-in implications here are enormous. Now, when you look at the Clippers, they've rattled off 5 straight wins, and the public is going to love them tonight. They beat Indiana by 1 on a Kawhi Leonard buzzer beater. They walloped Milwaukee 129-96, and they've looked very much like a team that's figured things out after a turbulent deadline. Remember, this is a franchise that started the season 5-16. They blew up their roster in February, sending James Harden to Cleveland for Darius Garland and trading Ivica Zubac to Indiana for Benedict Mathurin and draft picks. The fact that they've climbed back to 39-36 is genuinely remarkable. But let's slow down for a second. 5 straight wins look sexy on paper, and it is. But 3 of those 5 came against teams with losing records: the Bucks, Pacers, and Mavericks. This is a Clippers squad that has historically struggled to cover bigger numbers at home this year, posting just an 11-16 record against the spread when favored by more than 4 points. They win, sure, but they don't pull away the way the market expects them to. Portland, on the flip side, has covered in 13 of their last 20 games when getting points, and that's not a coincidence. Tiago Splitter, the interim head coach who inherited this roster after Chauncey Billups was arrested and suspended back in October, has quietly turned this team into a scrappy, competitive bunch. His background coaching Paris basketball to a French championship last year translates in the way his guys compete. They don't fold when they're supposed to. Yes, Portland is without Shaedon Sharpe, who's been sidelined since early February with a left fibula stress reaction, and Jeremy Grant is dealing with a calf strain that's keeping him out tonight. That stings. But Denny Avdija has been a legitimate star this season, averaging nearly 24 points a game. And Donovan Clingan, the big man who's 3rd in the entire league in rebounding, gives Portland a physical edge that the Clippers, now playing Brook Lopez at center after the Zubac trade, can't easily match. Scoot Henderson slides back into the starting lineup with Grant out, and the kid has been solid recently, averaging nearly 14 points with over 2 steals a game over his last 5. The motivation here matters more than people realize. Portland isn't just playing for pride, they're playing for their season. When a team is a game and a half out of a play-in spot with about 2 weeks left, they don't come out sleepwalking in a road game against the team directly above them in the standings. That desperation, that urgency, it tends to keep games tight. And the Clippers, who are already starting to glance at their playoff matchups, might not bring the same edge. Kawhi Leonard is healthy and off the injury report for the first time in 2 weeks, which is great for Los Angeles, but he also played 35 minutes Friday night in a 1-point squeaker against Indiana. Back-to-backs aren't in play here, but Kawhi's workload has been carefully managed all season by Tyronn Lue. Don't be surprised if his minutes hover around 30, which limits how much the Clippers can separate. As our first pick for this matchup, the Portland Trail Blazers to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. Portland's recent scoring outputs might trick you into thinking this is going to be a shootout. The Blazers just put up 123, 134, and 130 in 3 of their last 4 wins. Those numbers look explosive, but context is everything. Those games came against the Wizards, Nets, and Bucks, 3 teams that rank in the bottom half of the league defensively and were either tanking or completely checked out. Tonight's opponent is a very different animal. The Clippers rank 10th in the NBA in points allowed, giving up just 112.5 per game. Their defense has been legitimately stingy, especially at home, where Intuit Dome's crowd and the comfort of not traveling helps their rotation stay crisp. Kawhi Leonard's presence on that end of the floor can't be overstated. The man is averaging 2 steals a game, and his on-ball pressure disrupts opposing offenses in ways that don't always show up in the box score. Now here's what really catches the eye when you start digging into the trends. The under has cashed in 4 of the last 5 meetings between these 2 teams. Portland has also gone under in 5 of their last 7 matchups against Pacific Division opponents. That's not random noise, that's a genuine pattern. And if you zoom in on the Clippers' recent run, 7 of their last 10 games have also landed under the projected total. Los Angeles ranks 29th in the entire league in field goal attempts per game. They play at a deliberate, almost European pace, and that's partly by design under Lue, who wants Leonard to operate in the half court where his mid-range game and isolation scoring are most devastating. That slow tempo naturally suppresses possessions, which suppresses points. The Clippers simply don't play fast. From Portland's side, losing Sharp and Grant guts a significant portion of their offensive firepower. Sharp was averaging over 21 points a night before his injury, and Grant was their 3rd leading scorer at around 19 per game. Without those 2, the Blazers lean heavily on Avdija and Klingon, but Klingon isn't a high-volume scorer. He impacts games through rebounding and defense. The remaining offensive creators, Henderson, Kamara, Holiday, they're capable but inconsistent enough that Portland's ceiling in any given game drops considerably. Kamara has been shooting well from 3, leading the team at 2.6 makes per game, but he's not the kind of player who's going to carry a 120-point performance on the road against a good defense. The Blazers also allow 116 points per game, which is 17th in the league, and while that number suggests a leaky defense, it's worth noting that many of those high-scoring games against them came with faster-paced opponents pushing tempo. The Clippers won't do that. They'll grind, they'll play through Leonard in the post and Garland running pick and rolls, and they'll be perfectly content with a game that finishes in the low 100s for both sides. Garland has been averaging 25 points over his last 5 games since getting fully integrated, but his style is controlled and efficient rather than volume-based. He's not taking 25 shots a night, he picks his spots. When both teams are content to play at a methodical pace and the defensive matchups favor lower outputs, the arithmetic just doesn't add up for a high-scoring affair. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed, subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.